welcome to another episode of Learning the Process podcast. I am your host, Yanko, and with me always the most intelligent one,
Ramos.
That's right, Marcos. And here, we're going to be having a very, very serious conversation. Only because people want it. People want to know about this stuff, and it's something that we use every day. But what is Learning the Process podcast? Well, Learning the Process podcast it's a podcast about personal growth, development, and the steps that it takes to achieve your goals. And of course, me and Marcos, we're going to be talking about what it takes to achieve your goals based off of our personal experiences and what we've learned in our 40 plus years of being on this earth. And with that being said, welcome. And it's our pleasure to have you guys here. So, Marcos, tell me, how was your week?
So far I had a great day. A very productive week. A very filled calendar. Just staying focused and keeping my days, making sure that I stay productive and not busy work. So I'm always trying to move the needle. This morning, for example, I got up this morning. I was supposed to train with a good friend of mine. It didn't work out that way, so I improvised. A client hit me up. She was at the gym, and she was like, hey, can you train me today? So the way I'm training right now is very interesting. This came because of the COVID situation. So now my client, she goes to the gym, and she calls me. And on my fitness app, my self-mastery fitness app, she calls me. I have a video, like a Zoom kind of.
That it's on the app.
Yeah, it's like a kind of like a Zoom video call that you do on the app. And so my client does it. She goes to the gym. I give her the title of the program that we're going to do today. For example, today I did a full body resistance training. So she sets up the camera at the gym, and I tell her, okay, you need to get a kettlebell, get 2 dumbbells, and get a medicine ball. And then she'll grab the camera, put it in place, get her little area in the gym that she goes to. It's in Brooklyn. And then, I'll train her through different exercises. Also, other things that happen is she goes to, like, for example, if we're doing legs, shoulders, and biceps, she'll go through all the machines. I'll be like, okay, go to that machine right there, and this is what you're going to do. And she does it. And it's great. It makes my life easier. I don't have to go to the gym and actually be physically present with my clients. And it's an amazing experience. It makes my life easier, less time in traveling, and it works. And my client is super happy. My client is not by themselves. They feel like, hey, they're there. They're not alone. They're at the gym alone, but they're not alone because I'm with them and we're just talking while she's exercising. I'm guiding her through it and pushing her to exercise. And mind you, and I always ask these things to my clients. So how does these exercise feel? And they'd be like, amazing. Would you do this if you was alone? She was absolutely not. Like, you being there and encouraging me is super helpful. This works great for me. So, it works for some people. Some people like a physical presence, but, whatever works. There's so many avenues of getting trained by a trainer. Something to consider. And then after that, I trained myself. I did a nice exercise after I finished training my client. And then I headed over here so we could do this.
There you go, folks. So, if anybody's looking for a personal trainer, my man Marcos right here, he does it, and he just explained to you the beauty. He doesn't have to physically be there with you, but he will be there with you, because once you call him on video, he's going to guide you from step 1 to step 100. That right there is what you call a good personal trainer.
Awesome. Yanko, how was your morning so far?
Oh, man.
How was your week?
Well, my morning was great because I got to wake up, and that's something to always be grateful about. Every day above ground is a blessed day. So I say thank you, God, for allowing me to wake up another beautiful day and be able to enjoy all of the fruits that this world has to offer. So I'm very grateful for that. This week has been amazing. I mean, the way I look at it is, if you don't have a bad day, then it definitely was a good day. So if it wasn't a bad week, then it definitely was a good week. So every day I am extremely blessed and grateful to be able to wake up and be able to enjoy my family, enjoy my friends, and enjoy my coworkers, and even everyone who I come across in the streets, on the train, at the corner store. everybody I come in contact with, for me, it's a blessing, and I'm extremely grateful to have those opportunities. So yeah, I have nothing to complain about. So.
That's awesome. All right. Well, what are we gonna get into today,
Well,
Yanko?
We've been talking about this because for some reason it's something that is still very challenging for people, and especially I don't want to use a blanket statement, but for Hispanics and blacks, only because we can identify with that culture. That's we're Dominicans. That's where we come from. We're from Washington Heights, so everyone of that demographic has this challenge. And one of the challenges that we have in our life that we deal with every day is
Finances.
And the thing is that for us, we always feel like there's never enough. But in fact, there is more than enough. The problem is that we have this thing called materialism competition. And materialism competition, it will always keep you chasing and never achieving. And one thing I can say for myself is, in this environment that we're raised in, we're always competing with one another to be able to show how much we're worth. And we put our worth into materialistic things, the BMW, the Mercedes Benz, whatever, the Range Rover. And what we're doing is we're not giving ourselves enough compassion for ourselves to understand that we are enough. And we are already valuable. As a human being, we're already valuable. But we've been conditioned to not give ourselves the value based off of our humanity, but based on what is perceived to be valuable. And that right there starts the downward spiral of having a bad money habit and having a bad relationship with money. So what we're going to be talking about right now is how to have a good relationship with money. And it starts with knowing that you are already valuable and that you don't have to compete with anyone to show your value. God already gave you value. God already made you valuable.
Amen.
Okay? He used your parents to bring you to this earth. And that right there is value in itself. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to overcome the emotional immaturity that we have with ourselves and with value. So with that being said, one thing that you should do is tell yourself.
Hold on. I got some questions.
Oh, yes.
I got some questions.
I apologize.
So yeah, absolutely, yo. One of the things I struggle with before you go on, is
yes.
Having that financial stability. Like I always in my life, it's always been a struggle to get over the top. And once I almost felt like I was making it there, and then I got laid off. So now it's like whoop, back to square one. And because during that process, like you can't predict the future, but those are the reasons why you like manage your money wisely. So because you don't know what the future is going to hold, and you want to be able to be in a good place where you're not so worried when crazy things happen, like being laid off. And then today, I'm learning like, man, I wish I would have planned better. So I know you're a man that I know your history, I know your background,
That's
know
right.
what you've done and where you are today. So yeah, I do definitely like your insight on what exactly that you did to get to a better situation that you're in right now. I really don't know where your financial situation is, but I know that you're better than you was before. And I learned a lot of things from you in the past. So I got some questions. Yanko,
Yes.
so question number one would be, what is the biggest money lesson that you learned?
Well, one of the biggest money lessons that I learned is that money is your friend. Money is not your enemy. And I had to change my belief on money. So every time I had a negative thought about money, my relationship was with money was always going to be unhealthy. So once I changed my relationship with money, that money is a tool that God put on this earth to make sure that you can prosper, and that money is not your enemy. Money is your friend. Money loves you the way you love it, but you must give it true love. The same way you would give love for your child, the same way you would give love to your mom, you have to love it in that way, not in an envious or greedy or possessionary way, but in a I love you because you are good.
All right, like not idolizing it.
Not idolizing it, but giving it the love and respect.
Respect, right?
You know?
Like you value your home, right? You take care of your home, you clean your home, you put the repairs so you could have a roof over your head.
Exactly.
That kind of love and respect.
Exactly. So that was one of the things that once I learned how to do that, I felt so much better, wanting to do what is most beneficial for me monetarily, and not feel feel bad about it. So that was one of the things. Yes.
Yeah, I can definitely identify with that. I remember when I was younger. I was, that was all in my mind. That's all I wanted. How can I make more money? How can I convince people to give me more money? And then today I realized that that's not the case. When I first became a trainer, I noticed that that was my goal. It was like, okay, how can I convince you to pay me more? How can I? And then I realized, this is not the way. This doesn't even feel good doing it like that, and it was frustrating. And then I realized, and then I started focusing on really genuinely fixing people's problems, and finding out what was their problem. Why can't you change? Why can't you stay consistent? Why can't? And then I got into the meat and potatoes of the situation, and I deep dive into people's personal lives, deep dive into my personal lives, and I listened to other people's struggling stories, and I found out that it's more internal than it is an external thing. So then I became passionate about really understanding, and I was able to truly help people. And I wasn't focusing on the money anymore like that. I was focused on being of service and fixing a problem. Because I focused on being of service and fixing a problem, more money started coming in. I guess people saw value in me, and it was like, yo, you're worth that. And they started paying me, what I asked for.
That's right.
And I make sure I keep a fair game, to all my clients. Because some of my clients they have money. Some of my clients are very poor, but I want to help everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I have figured out a balance. I had to serve both, higher income and lower income. You know what I'm saying? And really be of service. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the relationship I have with money now. By providing the service, I'm getting paid for it. And the quality of service is higher. I give more than I actually charge.
Look at that. Look at that. That right there is beautiful. That is a big key component to making more money. It's not that you're doing it for the money. It's because you're doing it for the service. And let me tell you, Marcos this guy is amazing. And not just because he's my best friend, but because he's taught me a lot. But because he gives so much care and emphasis on making sure that he can solve your problem. And he's solved a ton of my problems, even though one took like over 10 years because I wasn't listening to him. I was like, yeah, nah, I got it. And when I finally listened to him, I was like, it took 10 years for me to finally just follow what he was saying. And
there you go. You kept watering the seed. The seed.
And I feel so much better now. So much better. So,
all right.
And I look better. So
that's awesome.
What's your next question?
All right. My next question is, what's one habit that helps you manage your money?
That's a good question. Because everything is habit. That is true. One habit that helps me manage my money is knowing that it's not about today. It's about the future. And in the future, if you have family, if you have kids, if you have a wife or a partner, and you want to make sure that you want to leave it for them, that is the thing that makes me understand I can't spend it now. I have to use it wisely. use it wisely. Spend is when you give it away and you get nothing in return long term. Okay? That's why investments and investing, right? That's why they use that word, because you're not spending it. You're investing, which means you're going to get something in return later. And that's what I've learned. That's one habit that I say, do I really need this now? Or do I want it now? So I used need and want a lot. And that habit kept me from, and that's not always, let me tell you, when I started, and you know my story, boy, I made some money and I spent it immediately. I'm talking about money that should have lasted me months, if not years. I spent it within weeks. So
yeah, we all done that, right?
I learned the hard way. I mean, we all do, because money, financial education is not something that is normal or normalized in our culture. So yeah.
And another thing that I realized too is that your emotional well-being, when you come in contact with a certain amount of money, how's your emotions? Because normally we'll be emotion driven to spend it, right?
Oh, Jesus.
And with all the stimuli in the world, if the new Jordans, mind you, I'm wearing a pair, and other things that we like you said, is depending of what is it you need and what is it you want. I seem like there's more of a balance of what do we want as opposed to what we need.
That's the hardest thing, because, like I said, if you are not emotionally mature to understand your emotional desires, if you're not emotionally mature to know your emotional desires, then you're going to want everything. And you have to understand that just because you want it doesn't make it right. And just because it makes you feel good also doesn't make it right. There's a thing called emotional integrity, which is doing what's right even when it's hard. That's the hardest thing to do. Everybody just wants to do whatever makes them feel good, which isn't always right. So
I'm trying to feel like a black hole.
It is
the unfillable black hole, right? You might give it a little hit, but at the same time, was it a good choice? It might cause you stress in the future.
Yeah. So that's one thing, and I had to overcome that. It took a while. That was almost a 30-year journey, but eventually I got there, and it was just through learning, reading books, and asking other people their perspectives and how they did things, and then you slowly start adopting, some of these new perspectives, and eventually you'll grow. So, one thing a lot of people don't know, everybody thinks that millionaires are either born millionaires or they make their millions in their 20s. That's not always true. That's about 1% of people who become millionaires under the age of 30. All the other millionaires, they all made it between 35 and 50. So if you're between 35 and 50, this is the moment where you start to actually learn and then grow. And by the time you're 50 is when you get close to your $1 million. So if you're in your 20s or early 30s and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to be rich. No, most millionaires make their first million between the ages of 35 and 50.
Yeah, I've heard that. That normally people between that time frame that you get, like, there's a certain level of discipline that grows in you that you're like, okay, enough is enough. I need to make these choices. Mm-hmm. It probably could be like because you're at a certain age and then you're looking towards the future and you see the reality of how short life is because you made it into your 40s. So you snap out of it and you're like, whoa, I'm already 40. So I felt like it went pretty fast.
It does go by.
And then you're like, wow, so that means the next 40 years might go by really fast. So I need to get this together. I need to take this money serious. I can't be fooling around no more.
That's right. That's right.
Yo, I need to really balance out how this money is coming out and where is it going and understand what is money and how to have a better relationship with it.
Yeah.
And, that's I tell you the truth. At this age, this is how I think. When I was younger, even though I thought about it, it was just like whatever. I wasn't caring, like whatever. tomorrow's not promised.
That's
Now it's like, oh no, tomorrow's promised. You're right. Tomorrow is not promised. But what if you're still around? So you have to prepare for that situation if you're still going to be around that long, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing with investing, and I'm not talking about investing like in stocks. I'm talking about just putting time, effort, and consideration into tomorrow. That's the investment, right? It's about what's going to be there for tomorrow. And in our culture, based off our environment, we were raised that, hey, you got to live for today because tomorrow's never promised. And it's like, yeah, but you don't know that because it's God's decision.
Yeah, exactly.
It's God's decision whether he's going to allow you to spend another day on this beautiful earth. It's God's decision. I mean, yeah, you could take it upon yourself to not be here tomorrow, which would be going against his plan. But if you think that way, where it's like, hey, you know what? I don't know about tomorrow, but I want to be prepared for tomorrow. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the investment. What can I do today that's going to help me tomorrow? That's the investment. And because, our environment, it breeds this kind of helplessness where it's like, well, what's the point of living? And it's that negative mentality that a lot of people subscribe to that keeps them kind of in what we would call the rat race, which, of course, let me tell you, the rat race is not a negative thing. That's something that people also spin in a negative way. The rat race, make it sound like, oh, well, you're not supposed to work and you're not supposed to live day by day and you're not supposed to, contribute to society. Well, yeah, you are supposed to. That rat race is not wrong and it's not bad. It is what you do with what you get in return that dictates whether you're going to have a healthy race or an unhealthy race. You see what I'm saying?
I see how you're saying it.
Like
I guess because it's the word rat, it gives it a bad, image.
Yeah.
Because, rats are like rodents.
Yeah, the rodents.
But I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah, or being on the hamster wheel. It's like, the hamster has to work out on the hamster wheel because that is his exercise.
Yeah.
That is how animals get rid of anxiety, because if they don't, they will die.
Yeah.
So there's nothing negative about that. The negative aspect is that you think you're not going anywhere, but every day you're going somewhere.
You're going somewhere.
You're going somewhere.
Whether it's willingly or unwillingly.
Listen, until you selfishly end your time, or you wait till God does it, you're moving forward.
Yeah, you're moving somewhere.
You're moving somewhere.
Somewhere.
The thing is what are you doing emotionally and mentally that keeps you going in a positive light or in a positive way? So.
Awesome. So just to add to that,
yes,
I got a question that you probably go well with that. How do you decide what to save and what to spend? Like, how do you manage this money? Like, where does it go? To get a little bit more detail.
Oh, well, you know my story. I was in the war in Iraq from 2003 to 2005, and I don't know if most people know, when you get sent overseas or you're in a conflict, that money is not taxed, so it's tax-free money. So the government pays, its service members. I don't want to say generously, but for someone like me, that was very generous. I've never seen money like that. So when I got back from Iraq, I had over $100,000 in the bank. I've never seen that kind of money in my life. Like, for me, having $1,000 was like, oh my God, I'm rich. Mm-hmm. So when I got back from Iraq, I had all this money and I spent it within 3 months. I had $100,000 and then I was in zero. As a matter of fact, I was negative $10,000. I was negative $10,000. Like, I was in a deep hole. So with that experience, and then through my years of just working and being on the rat race, I learned that it's what you need right? Your necessities need to always be taken care of. You cannot be chasing to catch up to your necessities. That's one thing. So, in other words, your rent, you should never be like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money for my rent next month. No. Rent is die hard, utmost, the most important thing. Unless you don't pay rent, then you're good. Your utilities, light, gas, not really cable, but light and gas, So that's what I do. I make sure that my responsibilities are taken care of for the next 6 months. So if I lose my job, I know that my utilities, my rent, my light, and my gas are going to be paid for the next 6 months. I should be able to get another job within 6 months. So that's what I take care of first. If I have that taken care of, then I go, okay, well, now what do I want to do? Do I want to take this money and then invest it in either real estate or stocks and bonds? Or do I want to treat myself? But first and foremost, always take care of your priorities first. Because you don't want to be homeless and you don't want to be without light and without heat. So that would be my advice.
All right, that's awesome. It's a great experience, You definitely got a lot to share there.
Yes, sir.
My other question would be, what money mistakes had you made?
Oh, I've been making money mistakes since I first got my hand on money.
Give us a couple examples.
Well, like I said,
so that we don't repeat, because it's very important to learn from other people's mistakes, and experiences.
Well, one of the mistakes that people in our culture usually do is we don't take care of our responsibilities first. We focus more on buying Jordans, phones, especially phones. Phones are expensive, and I mean, I'm not gonna talk bad about having an expensive phone, but if you have an expensive phone, make sure that your responsibilities are taken care of first.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I have a phone, right? I have a good phone. I think I have the 15, iPhone 15, and I plan to stay with this phone like many years until I feel like I said it's obsolete. It's not working anymore.
That's
it's
right.
Done. But I don't try, like, and I had that mindset before, that when the new phone came out, I wanted the new one. I want to be up to date. I want to make sure I'm up to date with technology. But technology is moving so fast, and the features not even that much of a change.
That's right.
So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna stay with this for a little bit, and I did. I started doing that movement where it's like I stayed with the same phone for years, and
That's
I just
right.
I ride it out till the wheels fall off.
That's it.
And I feel more comfortable. I'm saving money. I'm not in the rat race no more, of the negative rat race, not the positive one.
That's right.
Right, of just being comfortable with what I have, like trying to really do things like a minimalist mindset. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm not chasing material value.
And that's the hardest thing right there with our culture and our environment, is that we're putting all of our value on the materialistic things that eventually change and then lose its value.
Yeah.
And then you're constantly chasing it to, keep your value. And that's a problem, I mean, again, materialism, the desire for excess is bad, but having these things are not bad, because look, I have a suit on, I got a shirt, we have microphones, we have a set, so we need materialistic things, and they're not bad, but it's the excess of it in order to prove your worth. That's where it becomes detrimental to your growth as a human being.
Yeah, and also like the quality of the product. Like we want better things down the line. Like who knows where this podcast will go, and it'll put us in a situation where it's recommended to level up, that we need to get specific new features that has more quality.
Yes.
It's more quality driven, and then we have to adapt to that. We will, but if we're doing good and everybody's liking it and everything's great with this low amount of investments, we got a great deal of good stuff that we're comfortable with, and we're meeting the needs and able to express ourselves. So,
absolutely. And here's the thing: products were designed for consumption. So I'm not gonna say that consuming product is this evil thing or this bad thing. No, of course not. We all enjoy. Look at this nice cup. Look at this mug. We made it. We spent money on it, and it's great because one, I get to drink out of it. I love coffee, and it looks nice. Look, doesn't it look nice sitting there? Look at that. So we spend the money on it, but it's an investment because I get to use it every time I get to sit here with my friend and have this conversation with you, the audience. So I'm not saying that having materialism and indulging in products is a negative thing. It's just when it is an overindulgence, when you become gluttonous in wanting to consume all these things at the same time and then hoard. Another thing, let me talk. Please, if you have stuff that you don't use, give it away.
Yeah.
Either give it away or sell it. Put it on eBay, on Poshmark, OfferUp. If you have clothes and stuff that you don't use, and you had some good use for it, but you don't use it anymore, you haven't used it in over a year, please, it needs to circulate. Everything needs to circulate. Money, just like product, needs to circulate. So if you're hoarding stuff, that might be also something that's stopping you from gaining more money.
Yeah.
Because you're holding on to stuff that you're not letting it breathe. Yeah. Everything needs to breathe. Money and clothes and sneakers and books, anything that you don't use, if you're not using it and you haven't used it in over a year, please circulate it to the world. Trust me, it's going to make you not only feel better, but it's also going to help you grow in being able to get more of what you want.
Yeah. Now that's one thing that I definitely was able to like really change in my life. Only using what I need. Sometimes I love sneakers and I have a collection of sneakers. And if I see that I last too long and I haven't used it, and I say I kind of look the desire for it, then I'll put it in a box and I'll send it and donate it.
That's right.
And another thing is, my mother used to be like that too. She used to just have a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of built her apartment to look like a museum. And then I told her, like, Ma, all right, this place looks great, but you can't sit down on anything because everything is antique. You can't really move nothing around or add things because everything is so. And I told her, look, what do you want to do? You want things to look good or you want to be comfortable? Because when you was younger, I understood this made sense to you. It was cool. It was part of the wave at that time. But don't you want to be comfortable? And then I helped my moms have a home that is comfortable.
That's right.
Everything is conveniently and it's easy for her. My mom's opened up her mind and she gave everything that she had away. The only thing that she has is what she needs. She has a comfortable couch, a good size TV that gets the channels that she enjoys. She has a washer and dryer. It helps her.
That's right.
She has a refrigerator big enough just to fit her needs. Her bed. She created more space in her apartment instead of cluttering it. So her apartment's very spacious today because she got rid of things she doesn't need. And she realized, hey, to this day, she doesn't. And, there were so many things that she had that we would box it and put it away in a closet. And I was like, Ma, this thing's never going to move from there.
That's
You're
right.
going to completely forget about it. And then this is going to fall on me in the future. So let's be kind. Let's give, God gave us these things to utilize, but none of these things are ours, right?
That's right.
When we move on, these things are not, you realize they're not ours. Just like the Egyptians. They try to take all this gold with them only to have people bury them up and use it for other things.
That's
it's
right.
like, that's not how it is. You got to leave things in a way, in a manner, use things in a way, in a manner. Hey, if you're not using it anymore, then it could benefit other people. And that's where we're at today, yo. Living that minimalist lifestyle. Use what you need.
Mm-hmm. Also, too, to add to what Marco said, when you get rid of stuff, it opens up your energy to receive more. It's just like having a cup. If your cup is already full and then you try to pour more of something into that, the cup can't hold it. So eventually it's going to be a mess, just like life. If you don't empty some stuff in your life, then you can't receive more of it. So everything around you then becomes chaotic. It would be like a spilled drink. It's just everywhere, but except where it's supposed to be, inside the cup.
The cup.
the cup.
All right. Has anything else you want to add on before we finish this?
I mean,
before we close out?
We don't want to keep it too long. We like to keep our episodes to about 30 minutes, because this is a topic that many other podcasts have done for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. This is something that you can. I mean, literally, it takes, I don't know, 5 years to really get into having healthy money habits. So, I mean, we could sit here talking for another 3 hours about it. So, I think with what we spoke about, hopefully that starts to get people to understand, what they need to do to have a good relationship with money, and then start having some healthy money habits.
Yep. And then to add to that, remember this, this is learning the process. So there's going to be times where me and Yanko we're starting our own process right now. There's things that we had not talked about, that we're not going to talk about, because it's a journey, and we want to make sure that when the journey reaches a certain line, a level, because nothing ever ends, right? There's always levels to this. So let's say we reach and we knock out level 1, and we're like, all right, this is the journey of level 1. This is what happened. This is what we did. This is what worked, what didn't work. And then we journey on to level 2 on the same thing. It could be a business. It could be how you manage your money. It could be the stocks market. It could be anything. It's just a process of showing what works, what is working. And for each individual, it's going to be different. For each individual, it's going to be different. So we're going to express our personal journey. It's only personalized, all right, to our way. Everyone will have probably the same topic, but the way that they get there is different. So that journey of how they get there is what we're going to express, is what you should express. And if it's an amazing experience. The journey in itself, not even the finish line. It's a story, because the story is what you want to express to people, so we know to be like, oh, I have a similar story, because some of us will walk similar stories. All right? So that's my 2 cents on that.
That's right. That's right.
This is
so
cool.
I mean, like I said, we're very happy that you guys are tuning in and checking us out, and then listening to our conversations. And like we said before, if you have a comment or a question or a concern or a complaint, please put it, type it in, put it in the comment section. If there's a question you want to ask us, we'll read it, and then we'll respond it at the next episode. So please, don't be shy or hesitant to, give us feedback. So with that being said, Marcos, you want to close it off?
Yep. Welcome to Learning the Process.